Okay, what are we about to do? We're gonna live. We're gonna love and learn. We're gonna love.
Live,
I haven't
learn,
had
love,
rosé yet,
love.
but it feels like I'm drunk. Just to let you know, we're gonna live, learn, and what audience?
Lovewell.
This is the shittiest fucking cult. You guys have no energy. Get it together, okay? Okay, this is off the rails already. Oprah would not do this. This is what happens when you get a low budget Oprah. You know, I am a Walmart Oprah. I'm a Home Goods Zendaya. This is what happens when you don't have the budget. Okay, you guys. I am so giddy because
Great.
first of all, before I introduce myself, you guys like, who are you? I just want to say, Emma, you were one of my first classes that I ever took on Peloton.
Amazing.
So I am like an OG fan of yours. I think since
So when was that?
2020. When did I start having money? 2017.
Wow, that's basically
Yeah.
when I started. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think the first thing I did was the Crush Your Core series.
You
And
got right into it.
I was cussing you out a little bit.
yeah.
Not gonna lie.
I
But
understand.
you know what? Do I have a 6-pack? Not yet. Do I have
There.
I have a
It's there.
1-pack? Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Phoebe Robinson. I'm a comedian, actor, author. Who cares? Enough about me. Welcome and thanks so much for joining us for Random House Studio Sessions. Yay!
Look at us.
Okay, NPR crowd. Is Ira Glass here? No. Okay. Studio Sessions is a series brought to you by Random House Group featuring live conversations on some of the group's newest book releases filmed in Penguin Random House's studio. Give it up for this studio, okay?
Yeah.
They went to Wayfair and bought things full price. Dedication. And this is broadcast virtually wherever you guys are. So thank you so much for tuning in. You have good Wi-Fi. Shout out to Verizon, Comcast, Time Warner. Okay, today I am so thrilled to be here with Emma.
I'm so happy to be
Are
here
you
with
regretting this moment?
No, I'm just like, I know my cheeks have already been hurting all day because this is the launch day and I've just been like smiling for photos and you know, so anyway, this moment too, I just plan on like having a permanent smile on my face this whole time.
Well, you guys know her as one of the best Peloton instructors. I know we're not supposed to rank, but I'm doing it.
Okay.
You are also an Under Armour ambassador.
Yep.
This bitch
Sports.
is busy. You do
Yeah.
it all. You dance, sports, you teach, you have an elegant beach wave. What's happening?
Thank you.
How can I get your jeans?
Thank you.
You know what I mean? You're like, you can't. But today we're so excited about your new memoir.
Yep.
Live, learn, love well. You guys, this is a cult that is going to catch on. we are all going to be broke, but we're going to be feeling good.
Here, the secret though is I think you have to not call it a cult and then it becomes one without people knowing.
Yeah,
right?
this is
You
just a
can't be
group hangout.
Right, you can't be so straight about that. It
We're
has to
just
be like a
hanging
secret.
out.
Yeah.
We're just hanging, just donate some money. We're just hanging out.
It's going to a good cause.
But I'm so excited about this book, Live, Learn, Love Well, Lessons from a Life of Progress, Not Perfection, which I do quote you on the progress, not perfection on some of my Zoom meetings to my employees, and they love it.
Oh, good.
Okay. So first of all, Emma, this is your first book. I'm very excited. Before we get into talking about the book
Yep.
and your whole journey, we have a little segment that Random House Studio Sessions likes to do, which is called In a Few Words. And it's a bit of a warm up, so to speak, with a couple of rapid fire questiones we have for you about your reading and writing practices. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
No pressure. Just speak from the heart.
great.
Okay.
Easy.
In a few words, what book is on your nightstand right now?
There's probably like 10.
I love that.
But I think Joanna Gaines's The Stories We Tell is one that's definitely on there right now.
You know what? I saw it in Barnes and Nobles. Did not buy it, but I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
Is it good?
It's good.
That's
I
like the
actually have
worst
a copy,
endorsement.
And then
Yeah.
I've been listening to it as well. And so it's really nice, like in the car when I'm driving to listen to. It's good stories.
Okay, I'm gonna do the
Relatable.
audiobook.
Relatable for me. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cute. Favorite place to read?
On a beach.
Mm.
Yeah, and
Do you
then I
have a
usually
specific
fall
beach?
asleep. But I'm from Martha's Vineyard. I love a good Martha's Vineyard beach, Cape and Islands, and
Yeah.
that nice sea breeze, ocean air.
Mm.
Sort of smells like seaweed, but it smells like in a good way.
Healing and expensive.
Yeah.
Okay, do you
Uh,
Okay, dog ear, bookmark, or something else?
yeah, it's usually something else. Whatever I can find. Concert ticket, something. Yeah.
I love that. That's creative.
Thank you.
That's fun.
Resourceful, actually.
Yes. Okay, one random good thing that has happened to you today.
Well, I mean, being here with you, but also the next best thing to you was I ran into Oprah today. You brought her up.
I know. How do you run into- Where was she at?
Yeah, okay. She was at CBS Morning, and I was there to do my segment about the book, and she was
Wow.
on before me. And she does her thing. I'm in hair and makeup, and someone on my team was like, "Come with me, come with me. We're gonna try to get her a book." And I was like, "Oh hell yeah!"
Yes.
I take a book out, and I'm signing it, Miss Winfrey. What did I say? Thank you for being a champion for reading books. Heart, Emma Lovewell. And then we go stand in the hallway, and she walks by me, and I smile at her. And then her team was like, "Hi, oh, I love your classes. Yeah, we love your book." So she didn't. I didn't see her touch the book,
She's gonna touch
but
it.
she's gonna touch the book. Yeah.
That is quite a day.
Right? I was like, "Oh, Oprah. Okay."
What was she wearing?
Orange, beautiful,
Great.
like a dark orange color.
What were you wearing?
I was wearing a green dress. It's cute. You can
Spring,
check
honey.
it out on my Instagram.
Yes. Okay. Best piece of writing advice that you have ever received?
To just write, even if it's crap, just start writing crap, and you can go back and fix it later.
Amen.
Yep.
Okay. Favorite room to write in your house?
My office, that sounds so boring. It's actually my office, gym, living room. It's multi-purpose.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, lots big windows. You can see the garden. It's nice.
Yo, I need to become a Peloton. I don't have a garden. Let me tell you
Yet.
right now. I have
Yet.
what foliage, is that the word? I don't have it. Okay, where do you get your book recommendations?
Friends. I
Ooh.
actually have my girlfriends and I have a group. We have many group texts, but we have one that's just dedicated to book, TV, video recommendations, and we just send them.
Okay, I want
great.
to slide up in that.
Yeah.
One word to describe your reading behavior.
Inconsistent.
I'm that too.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
I'm like in it. I'm doing really well. I'm reading every day, and then I'm like not reading.
Yeah. But you're booked and busy, which we're going to get to in a
Yes.
second. Okay, paperback, hardcover, or ebook?
Hardcover.
Yes.
Because, I mean,
Tell your friends. If she is not on the New York Times bestsellers list next week, I will fucking riot. Get your shit together.
you heard
Mobilize
it here.
your friends.
You heard it here.
What else are you doing? If you're not living, if you're not learning, and you're not living well, baby. Okay.
Nothing like a good threat to make it to the best New York Times bestseller list. I'll take it. I'll take it.
Okay, last rapid fire. I love this one. Favorite word, old or new?
Just like any word.
Any word.
I'm going to say the word kimchi because it's the name of my cat.
Yes,
and
I know
it's-
that.
Yes, you
Yeah.
know that. And it's one of my favorite foods.
That's cute. Well, you made it through. You made it through. You gave some great answers. Okay, let's get into this phenomenal book.
Thank you.
First of all, I love people who are writers, who are authors. They're my favorite people to talk to. When did you feel like this is now the time to share my story, to write this book, to connect with people in this way out? Because you connect so well in your classes, but this is a whole other level. You
Totally.
get vulnerable here.
Yes.
It's really great.
Yeah, I think I always knew that I wanted to write a book since I was young, but I didn't know when, and I didn't know what it would look like. I kind of envisioned me being like 70 years old and then writing a book about my life. So being in my 30s and a publisher approached me and said, would you ever consider writing a book? And I was like, whoa, 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 is this happening right now? Is this really happening? And my instinct was to be like, oh, hell no, like I'm not ready. But I love advocating for doing things that make me uncomfortable, that take me out of my comfort zone. I just think, do it while afraid. I think I learned the biggest lessons in those moments. So I was like, man, if somebody else is asking me if I want to write a book, I should really consider if I want to write a book. And I do connect with so many people on a fitness platform on Peloton. I tell short stories in between intervals. And I was like, I have so many more stories I want to tell. I want to tell stories that don't involve fitness about the rest of my life, and this is the best way to do it. And take the time. And I took a year and a half and took the time to really think and write out all my stories.
Okay, so what was your favorite part about writing this book? Because I've written books as well, and it can be really daunting and stressful, and there's days where you want to quit. And I think it's good to also, like, for any aspiring writers out there to, like, have something to look forward to. So, like, what was your favorite part of writing this?
I mean, definitely when it all started to come together, I had a little bit more sense of calm and peace, because for like the first year, it's chaos. And I was like, I don't know how any of this is going to come together, but I'm writing this story and this story and this mantra and this idea, and somehow they just, like a crossword puzzle or whatever, it just eventually comes together. And so once I had like the first 3 chapters, I was like, oh, like this is how this is going to work. This is how this is going to go. And then it felt like a sense of ease.
Nice. Okay, so if some of you probably haven't read it yet because it just came out today, I had the privilege of reading it beforehand. And one of the things that I really love about your voice and just who you are as a person, I had the luxury of meeting you at South by Southwest when I was like, I'm gonna wear all Natch deodorant on a very hot Texas day, and then you walk in again. Look, I know you say progress, not perfection, but this bitch looked perfect walking in. And I was like, are you going to Coachella? Where are you going? Because I look like I'm going to go do some laundry. But I think what I really love about you is that you have like an inner peace that I think so many people are really trying to find in a world that is so chaotic. And you write in this book about you starting your meditation journey when you were a kid. And so I'm really curious, for people who haven't read this yet, but who really respond to that, how do you maintain sort of your sense of calm in a crazy world? And how has learning how to center yourself, how has it really helped you grow as a person?
I think my advice is like to try all of the things. We all know there's so many, wellness tips that come out. Try them. Try, drinking a glass of water with apple cider vinegar, go to cryotherapy, try talk therapy, try all the things, try meditation, try yoga. I've always enjoyed the wellness space. So, and I also, living in New York City, we have access to so many things. I'm like, great, I'll try that smoothie. I'll try this new class that seems sort of weird, but like, let's try it out. And then I just find what works for me, because some things I'm like, that did not work for me. I didn't like that class. That stressed me out more than made me calm. And so, yeah, if I'm looking for calm, which is often what we're looking for, the things that do it for me are fitness, working out, moving my energy. I am a nicer person after I've exercised. I can think more clearly. My body feels better. I see a physical therapist, because my job is taxing on my body. So I see a physical therapist every other week. I meditate, although I will say, and I say this in my book, that is the first thing that gets left behind on my It's the first thing that's like, I'm too busy, I can't do it. But I know that it's there and I know that it works. And if I'm ever feeling stressed and I just take 5 minutes to calm and just breathe. People think meditation has to be this whole elaborate thing with like a pillow and a room with lights. It's like just in the car, just like close your eyes and just focus on your breath for 10 breaths helps.
Yeah.
So I just think that all of those things I've just tried over time. I've kind of created my own little recipe of things that make me feel good, and I always go back to them whenever I need it.
That's great. But I love all of this. But Emma, is there ever a moment where you're like, I want to drag a bitch? And do you ever do it? Do you drag anyone?
You're so funny because so one of my best friend Katie, who's very featured in this book, we lived together for 5 years, and she has this story. Like if she was here right now, she would be laughing at you and she would tell you this story about me. So I'm going to tell you. Is we were hosting Thanksgiving dinner together in our apartment. This is probably, I don't know, 10, 11 years ago. And it was the first time we were hosting a Thanksgiving dinner. We're doing it together. Like both of our families were coming to our apartment. And I was in charge of the turkey and she was doing all this other stuff. And she just like, she's like running around and she's like, Emma, like, you know, what, like, give me an update. What's going on? And I was like, this is how she like mocks me because I go, I am so stressed out right now. And she's like, that's you stressed out. She just makes fun of me. She's like, that's you stressed out. And I was like, I think I shut down actually. I don't think I get crazier.
Yeah.
I just like go inside and I like crumble.
Yeah.
It happens. It happens. I'm not perfect. But my distress looks a little different.
I love that you just like power down like the Microsoft,
I'm
like do 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 do.
Yes.
And you're like,
And I'm like,
that's amazing. But I also feel like that's true too, because I think sometimes when people are just have the outbursts, and that's when you're like, oh, okay, that person is upset. But also, I think sometimes when people power down, like people don't know to like check in on you or like be there for you.
listen,
you know,
my partner Dave is here and he's probably laughing because he's like, what's wrong with you? Like, I'm like, don't talk to me. Like, I've gone inside. So it's something I've had to work on communicating and being like, I need a moment. Let me go for a walk.
Yep.
And then, you know.
Yeah.
But I do, some other people are confused by it, for sure.
One of the things I also really loved about this book is sort of your path to Peloton. Like you know, you moved around a little bit, you tried different things career-wise. And I think, you know, so much of society is sort of like, you have to have everything planned out, figured out by the time you're 25, and it's just a linear path to get to where you're going. And I think you just being very open and honest where you're like, I just tried this thing. I wanted to try Texas. I want to try LA. And so I would really love for you to talk a little bit about sort of your journey of trying things out, even if you don't know how they're going to work.
Yeah, yes, totally. I mean, growth, success is not linear for a lot of people. It wasn't for me. I definitely took some, you know, we think that if you leave a job for another job, it should be way better than the last job. Your next relationship should be way better than your last relationship. But it's like, that's just not how life is sometimes. And actually the growth is happening while you're thinking that you took a step backwards in your job, but you're actually growing as a person. So I've totally, yes, like we went to Texas, we went to California. There were moments where I had this job in California where I was like, what am I doing? Like I left this other great job I had in New York City. I'm in California. Even the people I was at work with was like, wow, why did you leave? Like, why did you come here? Like they were questioning my choices. And I think it's just like, and my advice for anybody who's ever in that spot is just like, it's okay. The discomfort doesn't last forever. Like the hard feelings pass. You'll figure it out. Just be in the moment. You'll figure your way out. It's actually necessary for you to be here right now in order for you to get to your next step. So sometimes the path is just not linear. It's windy. It goes backwards and then goes back up.
I mean, Emma.
Right?
Girl, if you don't get all this money being a wellness, I'm telling, look, she's got perfectly straight teeth. Her skin is quality.
I paid for braces. As a kid, I didn't have braces. As an adult, once I had a paycheck that I could afford braces, you better believe I invested in my teeth.
So you were an adult and you got braces?
Invisalign.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so do you still have to wear them?
I wear a retainer every night.
Oh.
You should see me at night. Glasses, pimple cream, retainer. I look great.
Yeah. If you guys are watching, please submit your questions. We're going to have a Q&A. Don't be ignorant, okay? Don't do what I do.
You can ask me about my nighttime routine.
Yes. So you grew up in Martha's Vineyard, and I came from Ohio, live in New York, and you know, for the longest time when I thought of Martha's Vineyard, I was like, oh, that's like rich people. That's where they live. Like,
Yep.
I could never be in this space. And so
Right.
I want you to talk a little bit about like what your childhood is like, because you were like, honey,
That's not it.
that was not me. Yeah.
But it was interesting because I lived amongst a lot of wealth, because the summer people would come and they would have a lot of money, and yes, some locals have money too, but there was a lot of us that didn't. And I think growing up there, I didn't know it was weird or unusual until I left. And then people were like, whoa, you grew up on an island? Are there roads there? And, asking me all these questions. But I grew up with entrepreneur parents. My parents were artists. My mom was a painter and now a gardener, and my dad's a writer, photographer, musician, like Renaissance man. And all my friends' parents own their own businesses or they built houses. So I didn't grow up with corporate culture. I didn't know about, going to a desk job at 9 to 5 at some big bank or corporation. And I think because of that, my parents were super hippies, and they just encouraged me to be a creative. They were like, oh, you want to be a dancer? Great. Like most parents, I mean, not most, but sure, there are probably some parents that are like, oh, why don't you go get a regular job, something a little more stable and secure. But my parents were always like, do what makes you happy. And I just really love that about them, especially now in writing this book and looking back on my life. And in retrospect, I'm like, man, so thankful for them for doing that. And as I, acknowledged them or gave them the book shout out to my parents for allowing me to be, or encouraging me to be creative always, because that's so true. But yeah, I mean, growing up on the island, there's so many fun stories. I loved it. It's a great place. Have you ever been to the Vineyard?
I have not.
You should go.
I haven't dated a guy wealthy enough who could take me there. So you know what? I'm in Prospect Heights.
I think you can.
Okay.
I think you can make it happen. We'll arrange something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just you writing about your parents and just how supportive they are of you, I feel they were very nurturing, and I think that ties into you have a very nurturing spirit. Like you write a lot about gardening and just sort of like the lessons you learn from it, and the metaphors that you use with it. And I am not a gardener.
Okay.
I kill every plant.
Okay.
I'm working on it.
Okay.
It's a struggle.
Progress, not perfection, girl. It will happen.
Lessons from her life, y'all.
You will have a plant that survives, and you will be so thrilled.
Is this in your Amazon card? That's what I want to know. Okay, but seriously, what lessons from gardening do you think that apply to people's lives, and is the way that they can use that sort of nurturing energy to sort of like nurture themselves?
Yeah. So I'll give one example that I also give in the book, but I want to preface it by saying I love gardening now, but the way I looked at gardening growing up, I was a little embarrassed by it because it was a necessity. My parents were trying to save money, and we composted our food, and it smelled horrible, and I hated going out to the compost. And I was a little embarrassed by it. I was like, why can't we just go to the grocery store and get regular things like everybody else? So my love affair with gardening has definitely grown. It has blossomed, if you will. And one of the things that I share in the book is the lesson about deadheading, which is, if a plant is growing and it has flowers, as soon as the flower dies, you're supposed to cut off the dead flower, because then it redirects the energy to growing new flowers. Otherwise, the energy still goes out to like the dead flowers. And my mom taught me that as a kid, and I remember being like, oh, that's like such a good life lesson, like why direct energy to some dead shit when you should just cut it and let it go? And so I think about that in our relationships or things that we do, behaviors that we have. Like, are we directing energy into dead flowers? Do we need to cut it, create new pathways, new, ways for energy to go towards new growth and new things? So that's a little tidbit that's in the book, but it is one of my favorite, like, it makes so much sense. As soon as somebody knows about deadheading, it's like, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I think it's so great because and that's why I love the progress, not perfection, because I think as someone who's type A, who can get very locked into like results oriented as opposed to being present in the journey, I think with something like gardening, where it's like, it is the process, it's showing up, it's tending to, and you don't know how it's going to turn out, but you're in this journey, and that's what really matters. And so I wonder, as you look at sort of like these big breaks that you've had in your life. Like, I love your whole, like, you guys, you should read this, especially for like her whole journey to like Peloton and sort of like the universe giving you like these little breadcrumbs to like hold on to, and then like things come into play. So I'm really curious as to like your Peloton journey and sort of like just like getting to this place and really having like this dream come true that you have wanted.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're talking about like the $50 Craigslist job, and I think, you know, something that I learned from my parents is just to be a hard worker. And my mom's an immigrant, and so I think she has a really strong work ethic. I've always had like 4 jobs, so I've always been on that hustle. So yeah, when I first moved to New York City to pursue dance, which is such a competitive and brutal industry, I'm going to dance classes every single day. I'm going to auditions. I'm reading, you know, backstage to look at different auditions. I'm going on Craigslist. I don't know what Craigslist is like these days. You can tell me if you know. I don't know. But at the time, it was like relatively acceptable to look for jobs on Craigslist.
Totally.
I don't know what it's like now. Still, you have to be cautious. It's not always 100% safe. But I would scroll through jobs. I was bartending, so I'd be looking for bartending gigs or catering gigs. But yeah, this modeling job came up, and it was like paid $50, and it was a personal trainer looking for a female athlete to be in the photos. So it was like this guy training this girl, and I just had to be comfortable in a gym. And you know, I did my research. He had his name on there. I think I looked him up. You know, I tried to make sure it was safe, and I was like, it's $50, whatever. But like, I need the money. Let's do it. And so I did it, and luckily it was legitimate, and the photographer was amazing, became a good friend. He's not the photographer who shot the cover of my book now. And so it really came full circle, but that was basically the first step of, he was like, oh, like, have you ever thought about getting into fitness modeling? He introduced me to different people. I signed with an agency, booked a Kickstarter campaign for Peloton in 2012. I was a model actress pretending to get on my Peloton bike in my living room on a rainy day. And I just remember it paid great. And I was like, awesome, thank you for this day rate. And I met the whole team of like 10 people. And I was like, best of luck to you guys on your Kickstarter campaign, like not thinking that I would ever see these people again. And then I got into fitness and taught for many, many years, and then watched Peloton grow and grow and grow. And I was like, man, maybe I should reach out to them. And then the rest is history. But yes, it all started with that $50 Craigslist job. So thankful it was a legitimate job.
Yeah. And it's also like you had a phone call with Robin, and she was like, oh, we're not hiring now.
Yes.
And the thing that I love about that is that you could have just been like, okay, well, this dream is completely dead. I will never like revisit it.
Yeah.
And like, you didn't do that. And I think so often people, if there's any like sort of hint or whiff of a no, you go, oh, I should back off.
Yep. And I've done that before too.
Yeah.
So I know what that's like, but I will say this is one of those instances where Dave and I were in California. I was questioning my life choices, totally confused about what I should do next, looking at Peloton, seeing their success. Dave says, Emma, you should just email John Foley, the CEO, the Peloton CEO. And I was like, what? Who do you think I am? I don't just email a CEO. And he's like, why not? What's the worst that can happen? And I was like, okay, Dave, you're like, you know, maybe you, okay, fine. So I email him, close the laptop, like probably, you know, run around the apartment a few times to try to get my mind off it. So nervous about it. And he writes back in 20 minutes and he's like, yes, let's get on call. I'm going to introduce you to Robin. She'll reach out. And I'm like, yes, this is it. And then what happens? Robin doesn't reach out.
Yeah.
So then I was like, okay, that's an opportunity where I could have been like, well, see, I guess he changed his mind.
Yeah.
So then I had to follow up and be like, hey, I haven't heard from her yet. So then she calls and then she's like, we're not hiring. So there was another moment where I was like, I could have been like, yep, okay, sorry to bother you. But she was like, but if you happen to come back to New York and you want to audition, like, let me know. And so you know what I did? I bought a flight to New York and I was like, I know how this works. She's like, you can send a video or you can come in. I'm like, I know that a crappy video on my phone is not going to do me justice. I am coming to New York. And I went there, and yes, so it was a series of me stepping out of my comfort zone over and over and over again and really advocating for myself. So you think it just takes one of those? No, you got to keep doing it for a little while.
Live, learn, y'all. You know the rest. You better love well. Okay, please submit your questions. We're going to keep chatting. But this is like, I'm having so much fun, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, you're so fun to talk to.
Oh, thanks. You're really fun to talk to.
I'm a little chaotic, but I mean, we all knew that.
Oh, that's fun.
So you have accomplished so much, but I want to go back to your dancing because I have I can't dance at all.
No?
I mean, I can like grind on a
Okay.
but I can't, and do club, but I can't like dance, And so I just love hearing stories. So like, what's like one of your favorite memories from your early days of your dancing career?
What's really fun is that a lot of Peloton instructors, Cody, Allie, Jess King, Rebecca, we all danced together in our previous life at some point. We were at some low-paying gig together or at some audition together. So that's really fun to reminisce. I just was talking to Cody the other day about a gig that we did, but I'll talk about a different one since I spoke about that last night. Cody and I used to backup dance for this artist who was really big in the gay scene and the gay clubs. Mm-hmm. And so we would go to all these different clubs at midnight, 1 a.m. Wow. We would be like covered in glitter. I'd have like some fake ass ponytail. It was so long. Big fake eyelashes. It was so fun. Like you'd have your 4 minutes of fame on that stage. People are like yelling for you. They're like loving on you. You just feel like a total rock star. I was like, I'm Lady Gaga. Like that's me. And then the next night I'd be like bartending, at like the place next door. Or the biggest thing about that I thought was funny is I bartended at this events venue that would do all types of like engagement parties, but also like bat mitzvahs and stuff. So I'd be like outperforming. People are like, oh, you're a rock star. And then the next day I'd be bartending a bat mitzvah and I'd be getting yelled at by like 13-year-old kids being like, give me a Red Bull. My mom said you could. And I'd be like, no.
That's amazing.
So I just really like that time in my life was like chaotic.
Yeah.
But the really stark differences of feeling like on top of the world and I'm a rock star and then being like, no, you're not. Yeah. But I think that kept me really like balanced. I was like I could never get too comfortable in one spot.
Yeah. And I always feel like, like I always look back when I started stand up and it's like I'm eating dollar pizza and I'm like sleeping on someone's couch in Boston just to get stage time. It's like those memories of when you're like hustling and grinding and it's just about like having fun with your friends and dancing. And there's not so much on the line like the way there is like when we get older. Like I think that's always just like special time in your life.
And I don't know about you, but the people I met during that time are some of my closest friends still. Yeah. Like the Peloton instructors, but also a bunch of the bartenders. We were all working these late shifts in grad school, law school, trying to pay our bills or loans or whatever. And we're all still, there's a group of us, we're all still friends. And we look back at those like rooftop club bartending days and we just laugh so hard. It's like, but we just created such a strong bond because we were struggling together and we had bigger dreams together. And
I love that.
Yeah.
I also love how much y'all hang out, but I'm also like, do y'all ever get sick of like hanging out with your coworkers?
Yes, that's why I have other friends.
Okay, good. I was like,
I have other friends.
Yeah.
Especially I love having friends that don't work in fitness at all.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to talk about anything that has to do with entertainment or fitness or anything. Like, tell me about what it's like being an architect. Amazing. Like, I want to talk about that. Tell me what it's like to be a lawyer. I want to talk about that. Like, yes, we need a break from ourselves.
Yes.
Sure.
Okay. And then we also have to shout out Dave, who is here.
Yeah.
Hi, Dave. Listen, supportive partner out here, being the rock.
Let me tell you what he did. Talking about supportive partner, last night I had my book launch event at Town Hall. Cody Rigsby moderated. And Cody and I did this ridiculous like TikTok thing that we got the whole audience involved. Go to my Instagram or TikTok, you'll see the video. I think it's genius. It's hilarious. But we're lip syncing to Celine Dion, and I was like, Dave, I need you to come on stage with a leaf blower because I need you to give me Beyonce. I need wind in the hair.
Yeah.
And Dave was like, okay, like what kind of leaf blower do you want? Like
Yeah.
that. It wasn't like,
Yeah,
are
yeah.
you sure? He was like, do you like how strong of a leaf? Do you want me to bring the diesel leaf blower or the battery leaf blower? So I was like, I don't know what the rules are about like, you know, cranking a diesel like backpack Ghostbuster, you know, leaf blower in a theater. So we got the battery one, but he came on stage and he made my hair look fantastic.
Listen, get you a partner who is gonna do that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking
Yeah. Yeah.
for. Let me tell you, that's what I need. When you live, when you learn, when you love well, you get you a Dave. If you don't do those 3 things, you're fucked. Okay.
No guarantees though.
Yeah. Please submit your questions. Guys, we want to hear from you. I feel like I just don't want this to end.
Okay.
But I feel like
Here all night.
I don't want to like ruin the book, but
Yeah.
there's so many things I like want to talk about in the book, but I'm like, I don't think I can bring it up. But I don't know what else to.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot.
There's so much. What has been sort of one of the biggest lessons that you've learned in life that you've been like, maybe from something that didn't go the way that you wanted, and at first you're like, oh, this is so soul crushing, and then you zoom out now, you're like, oh, I'm so glad that happened.
There's a lot. Have you ever heard of like type B fun?
What's type B fun?
It's in the moment, it is not fun, but
Okay.
in retrospect, you're like, that was so fun.
Okay, yeah, sure.
That's like a lot of my life.
Okay.
Where like it's like if you do, I don't know, like a hike. I feel like Dave and I have done like some sketchy like adventures.
Your hikes that she
Yeah.
writes about in this book, I'm like,
Our travels, like there have been moments where we're like, you know, in like a sketchy situation or so. Now I'm having a hard time even thinking of like one specifically, but I know that there have been a few where you're just like in the moment, you're like, oh, you're caught in a rainstorm. You're like, this whole thing is like everything's crumbling, everything's falling apart. But then a week later, you're like, oh, remember that rainstorm? Like that was so fun. It was so cute. We got to, you know, I don't know. I love that though. And I think it's important to remember that happens. That like when you're in that shitty, chaotic rainstorm, like a week later, you might laugh about it. And so I think, I don't know, yeah, when I talk about and I'm an advocate for stepping out of your comfort zone, I just think the worst thing that can happen, I mean, what's going to happen is you're either going to learn something or you're going to have a really funny story. And those are 2 great options. So I just think about a lot of my life, a lot of my stories are, especially like traveling and like adventure stories, are just like after the fact, I look back and I'm like, that was really fun. But that I know in the moment, there was no fun.
yeah,
No
yeah.
fun.
So you seem like such an adventurous person, just like the traveling, like the hiking, like all this stuff that I'm just like, I can do like a baby hike,
Yeah.
but
I think I have a really adventurous older brother so I am adventurous, but I'm also kind of risk adverse in a way too. I guess it's all comparative, like it's who you're hanging out with. I hang out with some people who take risks, maybe. But my brother is so adventurous. He's an amazing surfer. He surfs huge waves that terrify me. He climbs mountains that terrify me. He like drags me with him.
Yeah.
And so I think that's at a young age, I was like, but I trust my brother so much. So I'm like, I don't want to do this, but I know he's smart and I know that he cares about me and I know he's like going to make sure I'm okay. But, you know, one of my first times surfing, my brother and I took a trip to Bali together. I was in college. The flight out there is super expensive. Once you're there, everything is so cheap. We were staying in $4 a night, like huts and, you know, eating mangoes. It was amazing. Have you ever been to?
I haven't.
Okay.
No, I really want to go. It's on my list.
Yeah. That's the only time I've been, but I want to go back for sure. And yeah, I remember the first time he's like, oh, he was so stoked. He's like, let's go out to this wave. He's like, come. And I'm like, I don't know, it's far away, so you can't really tell how big the wave is. And I was like, it looks kind of big, but like, okay. And I paddle out there, it's huge. There's all these locals and they're like, what is she doing here? And my brother's like, you're fine. The water's this deep because there's just coral reef. I end up like cutting my leg. I'm like bleeding. I'm like, I'm gonna paddle back in. He's like, okay, cool. Like Anyway, he also just trusts me like too much. So he's
Yeah.
like, you're fine, you're fine. I was fine.
Yeah.
But it also kind of scared the crap out of me. But that's just a little anecdote
Yeah.
of my relationship with my brother.
Yeah. And I can't remember. He's not single, right?
He's not. He's got 3 kids. He just had 2 twin babies. They're so cute.
I love that for you. That's what I wanted to hear. Okay, we have some audience cues. HR. All right, here we go. Ooh, okay. We gotta. We're gonna just like mix it up. We're gonna mix it up. But I know there's a question from a white girl named Kelsey in here. We're gonna find. Okay, this is from Holly in Indianapolis. What other things do you love to do besides workout and garden, of course?
I mean, well, that's all that I do. So I'm sorry, I have no other interests. I love to travel, which I've talked about. I love good food. I love to eat. I love to cook. I love to learn new things. So when I do travel, I love to experience new cuisine or see something I've never seen before. I feel like I'm just a very inquisitive person. I think I'm a lifelong learner. I just think there's so much we don't know. But I have a long list of like little hobbies. I paint watercolor. Sometimes I knit if I'm really bored. I do other things.
Okay, that's pretty good. Oh, this is cute. What's one piece of advice you would give your 14-year-old self? And this is from Nicole from Connecticut. Boom.
Let's see. When I was 14, what was going on? I was probably, you're in like 8th grade or freshman year of high school. You're dating people for like a month at a time, and it's so dramatic. And you go through like 20 breakups, and I don't know. I guess I would just, it's funny because I'm like, I would reassure her that like everything's going to be okay. But knowing myself, I probably would have been like, what? No, like I'm still going to have so much anxiety, even though you told me that. So yeah, I mean, I think just being like reassuring her and telling her that it's all going to work out, and it is going to be hard. It is going to be hard. There are going to be ups and downs, but it is all going to work out, and just learn how to trust your intuition, have a good relationship with yourself first, and like you'll be just fine.
I love that, because it's like you can't, I think so often we're like, oh, if we do everything right, we can avoid pain ever coming to our lives.
Not
and that's
gonna
just,
happen.
that's not how it works.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. Oh, Caitlin getting greedy. 2 questions, Caitlin, from New Rochelle. Okay. Question number 1. When life throws you something unexpected, such as loss, how do you move forward and continue to build?
I do speak about a story of loss in my book, and what I did was I like dove into therapy. I saw my therapist twice a week. I started taking yoga classes religiously. I went every single day, got the unlimited package, and just would go every day. And I really leaned on my community because I didn't know what else to do. I was like, the feelings of loss and grief are so intense.
Yeah.
I can't imagine doing that alone. I called my friends, family. One of my friends, I had lost a former boyfriend to a drug overdose, and my friend came up to New York and slept in my bed every day with me for a week while I would wake up crying. Like, it was just a really, really dark time. And another friend of mine told me, she was like, the way that you feel right now is not how you will always feel. You will not always be this sad. And that was so important to hear, because in that moment I was like, I didn't know another way of being. I was like, this is me now. I am sad all the time. It was hard to realize that there is life after loss. And it's still, that journey, it's still not perfect. It would come and go. Sometimes the grief would hit and sometimes it would go away. But I knew that if I continued to do the things that would nurture me, like move my body and speak to a therapist and lean on my community and like feel the feelings, And I say this in my class and in my book, like if you sweep things under the rug, you just get a lumpy rug. Like, you gotta kind of look at it. And I think I was also feeling so out of control of my emotions because I was so distraught, and that's unusual for me. And so I became obsessive about my healing. So I was like, well, I'm going to control this healing. I am going to schedule every appointment I can and do all the right things. But I do think that that helped me inevitably because I was focusing on my healing and on taking care of myself.
That's a great answer.
Thank you.
Ooh, okay, Caitlin, we're not
Caitlin.
getting to your second question, so you're going to have to deal with it. Ooh, okay. Listen, Melanie out here with a Barbara Walters question. Okay. Shout out to Babs. Okay.
60 minutes.
How do you want to be remembered? And she's from Nashville.
Oh my gosh.
Great question. Yeah.
My legacy.
Yes. Live, love, learn
I
well,
wanna be
legacy.
That's
the second book.
Yeah, I want to be remembered like this always.
Yeah.
Just the wind in my hair, a beautiful, healthy garden, and a nice tan. That's how I want to be remembered. Is this picture?
That is a great way. Listen.
No, but I want to be remembered as somebody who helped people. I love the part of my job that I love the most is the feedback I get from members who tell me how much I've helped them through a hard time, through the pandemic, through loss, through big changes in their life. And it makes me feel like my life has purpose, you know? I'm really like, oh, I love doing what I do for so many reasons, for my own selfish reasons, and also because I love music and movement and all these things. But then also I get to help people. Like, how incredible is that? So this and being helpful.
Yes. Do we have time for one more question? Okay, great. Ooh. Okay, I would just want to see. Oh, okay. Melissa, this is a good one. From Farmington, New Mexico, right? Sure.
Yeah.
I'm not good with geography.
New Mexico.
Okay. How do you find the motivation to move when you are struggling mentally? Ooh, that's real.
I just do something really easy. Like something, I'm like, even if I'm like 5 minutes, I will do a 5-minute stretch. I will go for a 5-minute walk. I will do something like the lowest hanging fruit, because if you're struggling, like, you don't need to beat yourself up. Like, do something, like, ease into it, you know? And I also like to just remember how good I feel after I move my body, because sometimes you forget that. But if you really remember that and you hang on to that, it's like, that's the thing that I'm like, the hardest part is sometimes just starting. It's like, you feel so, and even during, you're like, ugh, do I even like this? Afterwards, you're like, I am a new person. Look at me. I just feel so different after I exercise. And it doesn't have to be a high intensity workout. It can be a nice walk outside. It can just be something so, simple. And I think that just make it really easy, attainable, and then remember how good you'll feel afterwards.
I mean,
Yeah.
Damn it, you're good. I could do one more. Okay, thanks, Pat. Shout out to Pat.
Extra credit.
Okay. Yes, this is extra credit. Let's see. I'm going to try and pick the... Jessica, 3 questions? Bitch, really? Okay. Ooh, okay. You know what? Oh, okay. I like this one. Okay. Sorry, Jessica. You're just doing the most, and I just can't. Okay. Amy is doing one question.
Shout out to Jessica.
Yes, we love you, Jess. Oh my God, let's hang out, Jessica. Okay, this is from Amy from Grosse Point. Oh, is that like the movie Grosse Point Blank? Do you remember that movie, John Cusack?
Point Blank?
It was Grosse Point Blank.
Oh.
And he's like an assassin.
Okay.
It's him and Minnie Driver.
Oh, okay. No, don't remember.
I'm by myself.
Dave knows.
This cheese stands alone. Oh, shout out to Dave. Look at Dave being supportive. Y'all better find you some support. Okay, Amy's coming with the real question. Okay. This is like for real. This is like I love this question for real. Growing up Asian American, how did you find your voice in embracing your ethnicity? Also, was your mom a tiger mom growing up?
Oh yeah, she was a tiger. I played the piano every day for 30 minutes. I wasn't allowed to leave the dinner table until I finished my vegetables. I'd be sitting there until like 11 p.m. I'd be like, Mom, I don't want to eat these vegetables. What was the first part of the question? I just got lost on the tiger.
Oh yeah, no. Growing up Asian American, how did you find your voice embracing your ethnicity?
Honestly, I'm still on that journey. I think I had an identity crisis, and I was going through that identity journey, I think, heavily in college, because that was the first time I really had to make new friends and tell them who I was, what I was. And because I'm ethnically ambiguous, a lot of people don't know what I am. So they would say, what are you? Which I hate that question. It's like, just ask me, what is your ethnicity? That's the better way to just ask. And so I found myself being really defensive of myself, because I even had moments in college where I'd say, oh, I'm half Chinese. And people would be like, no, you're not. I'm like, what? Are we really having this conversation right now?
Yeah.
So then I had to really think, because I always thought that being good meant being quiet and obedient. And so then all of a sudden I'm like, okay, that's not working, because I have all this fire inside and I can't just be quiet. Like, I need to speak out. And then I definitely encountered a lot of racist encounters in college, and when I first moved to New York City, and I really kind of quickly had to figure out, like, okay, what do you believe in? Like, what do you stand for? And then then I started speaking up and defending myself and my family and, my heritage. And then even further on at Peloton, I started teaching Lunar New Year classes, Asian Pacific Islander Heritage Month classes. And then I was getting, a lot of feedback from people being like, thank you for being a voice for us. There's not a lot of Asian women in fitness, Asian people in fitness, like, thank you. And then I'm like, oh, you're right. Like, thank you for acknowledging what I'm doing. And that sort of fueled my fire and encouraged me to go even further. And a couple of years ago, I had the opportunity to go to Capitol Hill to speak out against Asian hate crimes. And I took that opportunity. I was like, this is what I'm supposed to do. I know what I believe in. I believe that, Asian Americans should feel safe in this country, walking down the street. And it's still a journey, though. I'm not saying that I know who I am perfectly and here I am. I am constantly evolving and learning and changing, and it has been interesting, but I think it is a beautiful thing to come from two different backgrounds. I'm really just I'm trying to embrace them both wholly as much as possible. Yeah.
I think that's how we should close it out, because
Okay.
that was beautiful. That was sincere.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm so excited for you.
Thank you.
I'm
Thanks
excited
for
for
doing
this.
this.
Of
Thanks for
course.
being here with me.
I'm excited for this tour. Listen, we're going to live.
Yeah.
And then we're going to do what?
We're going to learn.
And then we're going to do what? Love. Okay, y'all, just give us your checking and routing numbers. Give us that cash. Get this book on the list. I swear, I'm not fucking around. Okay, I have to close out, right? Let me. Well, I believe that we are out of time.
Are we?
We are, Emma. Okay, live, learn, love well. Lessons from a life of progress, not perfection. It is available today. Get it for yourself, for your friends, for your mom, for your dad, for your cousin, for your badass kids. Like, they can learn something too. Okay, join the Random House group for more studio sessions this spring. Next month, don't miss legendary novelist. I'm going to fuck this name up. Okay. Don't miss legendary novelist Isabel Allende? Allende.
You got it. You got it.
No, I had to turn into Tiffany Haddish there for a second. She's always fucking up names too. Okay, who will be coming by the studio to discuss her forthcoming book, The Wind Knows My Name. But I don't. Okay. Until then, thank you. Take care, everybody.